Hey everybody! So somebody asked me to check this. Actually, a few people asked me to check this out. It's Vivek Ramaswamy. I can never pronounce his name right. He gets asked. Apparently, he gets asked a question about his religious stance and where he is on that. And I think it's a topic that's not covered enough in today's society. And I'm very curious to see what he has to say about it. So let's check it out and see what he has to say.
Being a Hindu, can you please share your faith about God and what you think of his son, Jesus Christ?
That's interesting.
So, I appreciate that. So I'll share with you my faith, and I'll share with you the relevance that I think it has to leading this country. So I'm a Hindu. There's many strains, like there are Christianity, Catholicism, etc. There's many strains of Hinduism too. I believe in one true God. I believe that that God resides in each of us. I think it is the same statement of spirit when we say in the Christian tradition, and I did go to Catholic schools and I've read the Bible perhaps more closely than most Christians I know.
I don't doubt it.
It's the same message as when we say we are equal because we are made in the image of God. It's the same spirit to say that's where our equality comes from. It's not some secular value. We're equal in the eyes of each other because we're equal in the eyes of God. The tradition I was raised in, we say we're equal in the eyes of each other because God resides in each of us. That we each have a duty to one another. You know, to think about that strand of sacrifice and duty. That's foundational to Hinduism. I think it's the common strand between the Old Testament and the New. I mean,
Yep.
God asked Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac for God. He didn't make him follow through with it. The New Testament, God comes back and says, I will sacrifice my son, Jesus Christ, for you, the people. And so that's a long way of saying that I'm not Christian. And just in my spirit of my answer to the last question, I will never pretend to be something I'm not. I'm always going to speak the truth about who I am and what I stand for. But I think it's deeply true that we share the same Judeo-Christian values that this nation was founded on. And this nation was absolutely founded on Judeo-Christian values. That's a fact.
Absolutely.
It is also a fact that I deeply share those values in common. And to be honest, does our church, does our family, when there is a Hindu temple available, will we go for our collection of self to a church if that's the next closest available opportunity for prayer? Yes, we will. And so in our tradition, we say Jesus Christ is a son of God. I understand that's different than saying he is the son of God, but we share the same value set in common. And I'm not running to be pastor-in-chief. I'm running to be commander-in-chief. It's a different role, right? And for that role, I think we share the same value set. Thank you.
Well said.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm very impressed with you because I think you act more like a Christian than most Christians.
Thank you for saying that. We have the same values, and that's why. Thank you very much.
See, you got to respect that. He is good. He is very good. He knows what he knows. He knows American history too. That's something that's important. Do you know how many people, some people with shockingly high follower numbers, influence, they will straight up tell you, and they believe it. They will tell you that America was not founded on Christian values. They try and use separation of church and state and things like that as a way to get their point across, and that is simply not the case. Anybody that's done honest research on our history and our forefathers and what they believed and what they wanted will know that Christian values were at the very center of this nation's creation. It was the bedrock that we decided to build this nation on. And it drives me insane when you got people that are paid way too much, that are in places of significant influence, that will deny that and lie about it and then try and teach people the opposite. Church and state separation has nothing to do with it. The foundation of this nation was built on those principles. And you notice I'm not exactly saying I'm deeply religious by any means, but it doesn't take much to realize if you look at the timeline. When we started straying from that, this nation just started to collapse. Look at New York over the weekend. Look at New York yesterday. That is not the mentality of a morally sane culture. Look at all the shootings we've been having. Our nation is sick. It is sick at its core. And it's time people start asking why and really having the difficult conversations that most just want to ignore. And I think it's because society has become immoral. But then you got to ask yourself why that happened. And I seriously think it's because there is no sense of something bigger than yourself. There is no sense of morality anymore. There is no sense of civil structure, and it's eating away at this nation like a cancer. And I think people need to actually realize that. And then once you realize that, that is the first step into fixing it. You have to acknowledge that there is a problem and what that problem is. And then you can decide how you can go about fixing it. And I think we're heading in that direction. This is the first time I've seen a political candidate running for president say these things, and he is 100% correct.